Hi, I'm Deacon John Wilson, Education Enrichment Director of West Angeles Church. As most of you know, of course, that's our church behind us. Um, I prayerfully considered how I would communicate my concern with you about considerable pressure and uh, communications that caused me pastoral concern with my students, particularly those preparing to graduate. Um, And I think I can offer a solution to it as well, not just throw a problem out, run away. That's not what friends do. And I do want to say that uh, CSU has been a real friend to West Angeles Education Enrichment Program in ways that I know and I know. You know, you've been participants in the Summer Algebra Institute. It's been so wonderful in the development of the academics of our students when combined with our funding. We regularly, and last year we 55% of our seniors, actually 60%, went to CSU. We're big promoters of CSU. We've done presentations in the community about why CSU is better for students overall. And you know how I feel about private schools. And we're blessed to have such a great CSU system. And I've supported you on initiatives and things you like to do. We share the same walk and agreement. So I think I owe you to share with you when there's a truth you need to see that you was not pre-coordinated. I mean, recently CSU Long Beach was considering some changes and met with me and others, and I think I helped them to think about that particular thing during the end of the pandemic. I'm always open to that, and maybe that's what needs to happen here. It's not necessarily a trustee board matter, but maybe an advisory board you need to have in the community, especially through here now. Um, well, that's enough introduction, I think. This obviously, or maybe you know what I'm going to talk about. I've spoken to a couple of you about it already and was prayerfully considering it. This is about your vaccine mandates on students. It's not the fact that you're mandating, and you can run your school the way you want. I personally, I would not go the way of mandate, but I understand you're thinking about it, and you can do that. Um, this is about how you've implemented it or appear to be implementing it on your campuses, because it's trickling out to the students who are coming back next semester, many of whom are going to graduate that semester, and you're dashing their hopes because of the reality. And we can choose to ignore them, but it's the reality of vaccine hesitance in Black and Brown students. I have students of all races, white, Black, brown, international students in my program. And I can tell you culturally, it is common to see vaccine hesitancy. Now, as far as Black students go, um, there's a history of feelings of discomfort about being told by the government what to do. You've seen it in the news. You know that, you know, certain entertainers and NBA players are taking a stand, and that's the young students are hearing that, and within their hesitancy, it makes them pause and think and study and learn. And this hesitancy is becoming more hardened than ever. I think we'll see it in society as mandates come down on key workers in our state. But that's not why I did this. I did this because I don't think the mandate, I think there needs to be some more attention to how to make mandates effective if your goal is to protect your staff. And I think that's what it is. I think somehow you feel it's protection for your instructors, I guess primarily, and your staff. I mean, you probably know the demographics more, but you may have older instructors. And other colleges are dealing with that across the country, and I know that I get to see that because the rest of my 40% of kids go all across the country. So this is about how you've implemented or the process you are using to impose vaccine mandate for COVID-19 on your students. Um, I know you have other vaccine mandates. That'll be your argument. Uh, this one is different. It is not fully approved by the government. And there is some, the students are fully aware that there's some newness to this one. It isn't like a traditional vaccine, whether it's social media, whatever, their preconceived notions. We've really failed at explaining to them the science of it. And no one's taking the time to do that. No one's going to either. It's just going to be do it or, that's where society's headed from the top down, by the way. Um, I feel though to impose the way you're imposing it is harsh and yes, shows a lack of equity and fairness. And I mean equity, the new way equity is. I've used equity for years, and the meaning has changed. When something is unfairly imposed and it has unequal effect on black and brown than it does on white students, I think I understand the rules of the game that that's not equitable. Um, and I don't, just like in cities when they say, no one can enter a store without it. And, you know, even BLM of New York said it was not right and not fair. And I just don't think it's fair uh, the way it's being imposed in CSU. Now, let me turn a corner on you because I am going to agree, like I said earlier, if you want to have mandates on the students, that's fine. But you're going to have to accept, unfortunately, some realities I'll talk about in a moment. But I think when I see the inequity part of it, I've got to call it out since I think that we're still all together and wanting black and brown students to graduate in higher numbers, particularly black students, to graduate in higher numbers from CSU. And on the front end, we're trying to get them ready to go to all kinds of CSUs, not just their local CSU. While I'm thinking you are imposing COVID-19 mandates to protect your older staff, like I said, I think I understand that. I get it. Um, there's actually a better way to do this than only relying on the imposition of a vaccine mandate, uh, fully unconditional mandate. Uh, the way some of your CSUs are explaining it to these students, there needs to be some retraining of them because my students are getting the impression, that there's something wrong with them and they're inadequate as people if they don't. That's a shame that we're headed for that, and that they're being told that there won't be testing on the campus, or nor will a test be allowed in lieu of the vaccine, and that it's very difficult to get a waiver for health reasons, which is absurd. I'm not even going to get into this issue of natural immunity because I think nobody's ready to have that conversation. Everybody goes hysterical when that's mentioned and they get banned from the internet and all that. But I would like to have a separate offline about that and show you some information on that. But so I'm not expecting you to agree with natural immunity, but a lot of these kids have already been sick and they don't understand why that doesn't make them immune. So there's some that are telling me that. So they're asking their schools that, oh, no, you can't, no. Can I present an antibody test? No, we're not going to look at antibodies. Uh, and then they tell them the religious ones are going to be carefully scrutinized. Be careful. This is dangerous ground. I've not said much to my parents about this, but this is dangerous ground. I'm sorry this video is going a little longer. I thought it would be shorter. I think it's also dangerous to tell students who have various medical conditions who may have a doctor that's willing to speak with them. I assume those will be accepted, but you're not making it clear. They're not feeling welcome providing that. You need to talk to your CSUs about it. If you want a list of the CSUs, I'll be glad to provide it to you. Uh, but I'm not happy with this. If you rather I go to the CSUs directly, I'll send them this video. Uh, I just want to be a good partner on this. Okay. So let's go a little deeper into this. I have 3 students who are preparing for graduation this spring. One of them works for me. It means so much to her family. So you're telling me that she's the first in her family to go to college. Are you telling me that vaccine hesitance will prevent her from graduating from CSU? I mean, I feel it she'll keep it forever. I guess eventually the government will fully approve these. Maybe your basis will be stronger, but I hope you're following the data on this and see why they're concerned. Um, they were told by their CSUs not to worry about this, that they would have online classes, right? Or or they'd be allowed to come onto campus and get tests. Some only have one course to take on campus, and they have the other online, or just two or three classes. Why is there not an independent study option, perhaps, or a asynchronous learning option for students? Has CSU decided that if you can't come in person, it's over for you? I That would have been a way for you to deal with it. And then this thing, they're being told that certain percentages of students are needed to have taken the vaccine. And I hate to see that be the truth, that it's a number you're looking for. I have several second and third year students who are vaccine hesitant. One was an athlete. I don't know what they're going to do. Probably they're stopping out as an alternative for them. I don't understand why testing cannot be an option. Why can't it? Uh, it must be cost, I guess. But you got to measure that against the statistical data that a very high percentage of Black and brown families and people are vaccine hesitant. I know all the attention in the media is on certain other parts of the population. You know who they are, that won't take the spike or the jab, whatever we're calling it. But I'm talking today about Black and brown students and what I see with my own eyes and what I'm hearing in the phone calls from my parents. I have a veritable crisis going on with my high schools, parents who are pulling their kids out of school. I don't know. I'll say something about that later, another time, not in this video. Well, I've had the vaccine. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. So I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I've had the vaccine. I'll probably get the booster too. I'm just not old enough yet. My doctor said I'm crazy, go get lost. Notice he didn't want me to take it even though I'm close, because he knows that there's always some risk in this vaccine. It's very low, but he doesn't want me to take it get this, until the risk is worth it to me, because I'm in a danger group when I get to be 65. I know some of y'all think I am already, but I'm not. Sorry, I look so old, but I'm not. So I'm not an anti-vaxxer. But it's not important what I think when they're dealing with their bodies and their lives and their cultural situations. Um, who am I to say? I'm being a good Christian leader and I'm advising them to, and they're telling me why they won't. Come on, CSU, let's get some testing going. What do you say? I don't understand why funding is an issue with all the money that I'm reading that has gone from the federal government, the hundreds of millions of dollars that have gone to states. And I know we have a surplus in the state right now. Why aren't they passing money to UC and CSU to test these students? We're doing it in the high schools every day. I won't tell you about that mess, because they're saying over there they're going to do the same thing you're doing. And imagine the students that are going to drop out of high school. But let's keep it on CSU. You're my friends. I love you. I love all y'all. I love the CSU system. I like most of the things the president had to say in the graduation initiative that was sent to me by one of your great staff people, because you've always let me know about these things. I'm a big defender of CSU. So that's not the issue. The issue is whether you're handling these vaccines for COVID-19 the right way. And I don't think you're on the station, but you're a little off the station on this. So there's no test option. Even if it's not federally funded, isn't the better protection for your staff? We now know Better protection for your staff is testing also. Even your vaccinated students should probably test because there are vaccine breakthroughs that could be harmful to your staff. They could have vaccine breakthroughs. We know that now about this vaccine, don't we? In addition, what about plastic shielding like they used in Europe? It kept teaching the students. When I spoke in Lakewood the other day, had to wear a mask. They all had to wear masks, and they all were told they could not get too close to me. Which, yeah, I wouldn't have minded that. Come on. But I realized when I was speaking, I was naturally 20 feet from them, 15 feet away. What's the science on catching a virus that far away? One school I deal with in Washington State, they they don't have a mandate on the students, and they have vaccination and testing available all the time there. And they've instructed the students that is a socially distant from the professor, unless the professor specifically allows it. Office hours on online. We've got to protect our vulnerable instructors, but the vaccine alone is not the only way. I just think that your campus should all offer the same approach. First of all, it's a little different at every campus. Maybe you do it only for your graduate. Maybe your graduates don't have the mandate. The ones who are going to graduate, perhaps the country's different a year from now, right? I don't know. I just think that that's a problem for you. Uh, is anyone determining the effect of stop outs from college, kids stopping out? Does anyone project how many might leave the school? Are you just hoping that they won't? Or the falsification of vaccine records? My students tell me there's students that are falsifying those. They're already doing that. There's a lot of vaccine fear and hesitancy. What about postponed graduations? Is that something that you want to see? Please direct all your campuses to offer alternatives of regular testing under the threat of expulsion. Sure, then you can go, okay, you don't test, sends results twice in a row. We warn you, and then you're put out. I think there could be a standard like that. And now you give me something to tell the students. I'll instruct them, please be tested right. Heck, we might even offer testing for our local students right at the church. We already do. We'll work with you on that. The ones that are away, I'll tell them I'll have my people reminding them every week, get tested. I don't know. Yes, it means you'll have to have staff assigned to check on the testing status. Well, you're checking on vaccine status anyway. That you do all at once in the beginning of the year, I guess. Now that you'll have fewer, then maybe you can put some of those resources on testing, monitoring the testing uploads. Yeah, you'll have to expend a little effort, but isn't it worth it to continue the increase in your minority graduation rates that you started? I saw those charts, it's getting better. In this video, I've not shared the students' reasons for hesitancy. I've implied them since I regard these as personal between the students and God. It's probably a degree of ministerial confidence there too. So they're coming to me and telling me, but I assure you, it's been dozens. This is more about how CSU can proceed and hold on to these students while still protecting your staff. Okay. Those are some of my thoughts. I like to hear from you, not to argue with you. I don't want to, there's no need to argue. I mean, it is what it is. I see in your applications this year, you're making the students agree that they can be vaccinated. And I'm going to be reminding parents that that's an agreement they're making in the application, because I didn't know until I did one for a foster child the other day. I saw it. And I'm doing a couple others and I saw it again. So some of the schools are doing, some are and some aren't, by the way. This is what I mean. We need to have a unified approach. I mean, what is it with CSU's who are not saying you'll be required to get the spike. A student deposit says they're going to go, and then they find out. I think you should tell them up front so they can decide to go somewhere else. But we don't want that, do we? We don't want the enrollment to decline. That's not good for anybody. Let's be upfront. Let's have all the CSUs doing the same thing on this COVID stuff. I think that's very important. I should say on the reaction to COVID. And in doing so, the effect of the virus has been harmful enough on this nation. I haven't even checked recently the number of deaths, but I know it's more than 500,000, probably north of 600, even 700,000. In fact, I know it's in that area. Have we had enough of the direct effects of the virus to now not make the mandates and how we react to the virus kill us in different ways? In ways that will be measured by retention and graduation rates in this case. God bless you all. If I can help you in any way, please let me know, okay? I hope I haven't upset anyone. I just want to see some careful thought given to this. And I've sent it to various leaders in CSU, hoping for a dialogue on it, or hoping for you to reconsider how your campuses are actually handling this. Now, if you want me to deal with individual campuses, I can do that. I know some of the leadership in those campuses. Uh, would rather not to. I would rather work through you, but you let me know. If you just want to let it go and we're just going to agree to disagree, that's fine. Just tell me that too. All right. God bless you now. Bye-bye.